massive thank you to Silence, Vape94, Shisha, Aiden and Alec for subscribing to the channel. If you're already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return for the main event here from the Austrian Grand Prix. Yes, of course, if you missed out on the sprint race that went live yesterday, would highly recommend going back and checking out. But today we return to the Styrian Mountains, of course, for the Austrian Grand Prix. Plenty of intrigue, a lot of storylines heading out of Saturday's sprint race action, so fingers crossed today we can try and have a good race out here around the Austrian Grand Prix circuit. Of course, yeah, lacking a tiny bit of pace against the Red Bulls and the McLarens, but we've often had this before on F1 22 and we've been able to sort of work our way around it come Grand Prix Sunday. Austria as well can often deliver some quite crazy antics, mainly involving the pit lane. So let's get into it. Quickly before we do that though, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for the continued support on the channel. At the time of recording this, we are insanely close to 86,000 subscribers. We're trying to hit 100k by the end of the year, so if you're not already, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed as well. But yeah, let's do it then. Austrian GP time, but first a quick word from our sponsors. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of Turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Russell, Mr. Monaco, and Ricciardo, Théo Pourchaire, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Guan Yu Zhou, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Alex Albon, and Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Drugovich, Robert Schwartzman, and Daniel Ticktum, Gasly, Magnussen, Norris. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Valtteri Bottas begins the race from the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Right, well here we are then, on the grid, ready for the Austrian GP, of course. Grand Prix Sunday here, we really do just get to jump right into the action. But yeah, 36 laps ahead of us. Going to do the mediums to the hards today, of course. Can often try just to open up that strategy a little bit more. But yeah, I don't really know sort of what to expect from this one. We're up in quite a high qualifying position. I suppose if we can try and hang on to the front runners early on here, then we might be able to get a good race out of it. But yeah, really this weekend, it's not quite like Silverstone. It's probably a bit more like Canada. We might struggle a bit for ultimate pace against the Red Bull of Max Verstappen there. Of course, 2 wins in the last 3 Grand Prix, and he looks set to try and make it 3 out of 4 as we head into the Austrian GP. But we've got both Red Bulls, Charles Leclerc and George Russell, just in front of me. Fingers crossed, though, today we can try and get a good result. Well, we had a pretty good sprint race yesterday, but can we try and hang on and score some more big points today, of course? Max Verstappen, less than a 1 race win margin behind Valtteri Bottas for the first time in a long, long time on F1 22. We just need to try and take out some good points on the pair of them if possible here today. There's again purple on the grid. Let's see if we can try and get a good launch though this time as we head up towards turn 1 there. Need to try and get a good run off the corner so we can really try and fire ourselves in towards turn 3 there. But Ricciardo and Pourchaire just behind us. Russell and Perez just in front, waiting on Bottas, championship leader at the back of the field. But waiting on the 5 red lights then here in Austria. It is going to be lights out and away we go. And just like yesterday, whoa, big snap oversteer there in 4th gear as we head down towards turn 1. And apparently we're going to be 3 wide there through the first corner, so I'm going to have to take to the escape road on the exit. Not too sure. It must have been, I think, Tsunoda and Zhou Guanyu that we made contact with there down through the first corner. And yeah, was expecting 1 car on the inside. Did not account for 2, so not the start we would have wanted. Ricciardo seems to have had a bit of a lightning getaway there, up at a P4, but still struggling. Try and put the power down as we head up over the top of the circuit there. Looks like Bottas has made no progress at the rear of the field, as here comes Yuki Tsunoda back at the inside down through turn 4. Luckily, we'll all get away with that one that time round. But yeah, again though, not the start we would have wanted in this Grand Prix. The perfect start for Red Bull though, leading the way of course in the Constructors' Championship, and now with a 1-2 at the start of this Grand Prix there. Ferrari 3 and 4, haven't said that for a long time in the My Team career. But there, Russell down to P5, just ahead of Pourchaire and myself there. So yeah, mixed up start then to the Austrian Grand Prix. Looks like it was only Max Verstappen that held onto track position there, and he does lead the way as we finish off lap 1 here. Of course, Austria is such a short circuit, as now it looks like Zhou Guanyu trying to apply some pressure to Yuki Tsunoda behind us, and that's going to drop them both back a little bit more there as we head back up in towards turn 2 and turn 3 once more. We have pretty consistent pace with Théo Pourchaire yesterday, so we'll wait and see what he can do early on in this race, but just got to try and hang on to Russell and Ricciardo here. I can't help but wonder whether Leclerc and those Red Bulls might be a bit too fast today. Oh, it looks like Bottas might have had an even worse start than we originally thought there. Looks like he might have damaged his front wing. Either way, he's already had to box in this Grand Prix, so Bottas' nightmare weekend goes from bad to worse, and any sort of chance at a good recovery now is probably completely reliant on him getting a safety car. I'm going to say it's going to be completely over for the McLaren. We know just how fast that thing can be. Only man into the 102s on Friday night there, so that McLaren is certainly fast as we wave to him as he heads down the hill on the other side of the circuit. But hanging on to the DRS at the moment. I think every car, with the exception of Perez in this front group, has got the DRS range off the car in front. Russell might just be outside of it off the Ferraris. But yeah, I think we've just got to hang on early on in this race and see how we shape up. Oh, Théo Pourchaire not getting the best run out of turn 1, and I can't help but wonder whether he's just starting to lose touch with the cars in front there. Russell seems to be struggling as well against those Ferraris. There's big lockup from Théo Pourchaire at the top of the hill there, just about gets it slowed down. But we will be able to get up and under our teammate there off the corner, but we need to try and get within the range of George Russell as we head down the hill. We really cannot afford to be battling each other all too much in this Grand Prix, and down the inside we'll go then, back up into P6 then of this GP. But yeah, Russell has dropped back away from Ricciardo, so we can get a good run through this middle and final sector. He might be within range of George, and he might have no DRS to defend, as that, all over the sausage curbs, is not the line. I'll just confirm we have been able to stay within the DRS range then of George Russell, and are starting to apply a little bit more pressure to our fellow Brit. Let's wait and see though what we can do. Of course, had a good battle with him early on last weekend with Lando Norris as well. But yeah, it just feels like Mercedes is still lacking that little bit. Of course, I wonder how much less information you get from a driver like Latifi than you would from a driver like Lewis Hamilton last year. But Mercedes driver choices have had a long history for me on the F1 games of being absolutely broken. But what worries me is I wouldn't even argue that's the worst one they've ever done. Back on F1 2020, they hired Luca Giotto straight out of F2. And he's not much better than Nicholas Latifi, to be completely honest. Right, getting to 1/4 distance though. all over the back now of George Russell. Oh, he takes a lot of curve there through turn 1. That's going to unsettle the Merc off the corner, and now we might be able to try and pounce as we head up the hill. And George Russell aware of us, though he's going to try and go defensive. We'll try and force him as far off the racing line as we can. He will have the DRS, though, off the corner, but we will get right around the outside there. Big tank slapper off the corner as here comes George Russell once again. Though we're really going to try and squeeze him down to the inside there, but we'll try and have a look up the inside there. Here goes Pourchaire, though. Oh, around the outside, it's all getting a little bit nip and tuck between the three of us there as we try and put the power down off the corner, but when all is said and done, we're all back where we were to begin with. Again, George Russell seems to be bouncing off that yellow sausage curb at turn 1 there, which is really compromising his run when we head up the hill. Is the Mercedes again going to go defensive? Yes, he is, but this time around we'll make sure we keep the DRS off him. Whoa, and that's not going to do me any favours either. That's why you want to leave the car in a high gear out of turn 3 there, as here comes Pourchaire to the outside of us as we head down the hill. Luckily, this time around we'll just have enough battery to keep our teammate at bay, but we're really not going well at the moment. We need to get past George Russell, but the Ferraris and the Red Bulls have completely checked out. Well, this would have made for quite an interesting end to a sprint race here. Lap 12 of 36. Let's see if we can now again get a run on George Russell as we head up the hill. Third time's a charm and all that. And again, Russell really compromising his line out of that first corner there. Looks like Ricciardo, Leclerc and Perez still going at it up the road, but round the outside of George Russell will go much better top end speed that time round. He's going to have the DRS off the corner though, but we are going to be clean in front there as Perez and Leclerc definitely duking it out. And now, yeah, we have full clear of George Russell. He'll probably come back at me over the next couple of laps with the DRS, but if we can try and close up those three up the road, keep battling, you know, there could still legitimately be a P2 here. We haven't quite got the raw pace in the car, but we have got a wise head, I want to believe. We've just got to play this sensibly and watch hopefully that gap come down. Team just starting to worry a little bit about the tyre wear, but we probably won't need to box for at least sort of another 3 or 4 laps. At the final corner though, you can see the gap to those cars in front. He's coming down just a little bit lap after lap here. I feel like we have now got into a bit of a better groove, as that is immediately going to say otherwise. But yeah, I think a lot of the AI is still actually struggling out of turn 1 here. It's allowing us to gain a little bit of time quite consistently each and every lap, as Ricciardo now trying to apply pressure to Sergio Perez, as we're still trying to try and incorporate some esports strats around parts of the lap. Oh, there we go. Team on us in at the end of lap 16. We'll wait and see if any of the other cars in front decide to box there. As I've noticed, actually, one of the Williams has already pit then come out a lap down, but is now sat all over Verstappen's gearbox here. So we are definitely getting close to the end of these tyres' usable life. But here, get to Ricciardo. It was coming down quite nicely for a couple of laps, but it kind of all just settled in. Perez, Leclerc and Danny Rick. So yeah, we're going to have to just keep pushing and see what we can do. There we go. I've completely forgot to pit. I completely forgot to pit. Verstappen's in. We know he's going on to Haas. I think everyone will be doing that. But that means we're going to have to not only stay out for one extra lap, we're going to have to stay out to the end of next lap as well. There, of course, Pourchaire will want to box, as you can just see now. Ricciardo applying a bit more pressure to Perez again, but at least we know one of those Ferraris is going to have to do the same thing. So it's not like we're going to be out here all by myself. Heading out of the final corner though, please say Pourchaire is boxed. Yes, there we go, Pourchaire into the pit lane. So it is now just going to be Ricciardo and I out here, and we desperately need to remember to box this time round when we get down in towards the final couple of corners. But yeah, Ricciardo and I not extending the stint too ridiculously, but half a race on mediums, half a race on hards. At least we know they'll make it to the line pretty comfortably. But yeah, could just really do with taking a bit more time out of the Australian, maybe trying to work on an overcut. The end of lap 18 though, diving into the pit lane at the end of this one. Luckily Ricciardo acts as a good reminder there, as well, just being a little bit cheeky with the pit lane entry, but make sure we get the car slowed down. There we go. I think we did take a little bit of time out of him down into the pit lane here, but yeah, I mean, Ricciardo not too far in front of me before we boxed. Seems to have lost a little bit of time there. Perhaps I'm just being a bit stupid. I think it's probably the best word to describe it. 2.4, let me go! 2.4 second stop it would have been, but I think we've lost that a little bit in the end. As Ricciardo, I think, is actually going to come out behind Leclerc and Perez. Oh, don't hit the pit wall, please. And we have really lost out in all of this. We're now back down with George Russell again. Of course, we'll have quicker tyres towards the end of the race, or fresher tyres even, I should say, but yeah, really not what we needed. We're going to have to go on the offensive once more, but cold rubber going to be very, very difficult just to try and build up some heat in it. Going that little bit further doesn't seem to have done either Ricciardo or myself any favours there, as I think that's Oscar Piastri pulling over to the wayside here in Austria. Could have really done with a safety car at the moment, but we're not going to get one. Yeah, Ricciardo, though, just dropping away from those cars in front, and we've got to try and hope that, by some miracle, we might be quicker than the Australian towards the end. We were yesterday, but Ferrari seem to have a little bit more in this longer race there, as Leclerc and Perez still duking it out. We need those two to battle. Well, heading into the final third then of this Grand Prix, just monitoring the gaps up the road. Leclerc and Perez have kind of had a couple of laps just calming it down a bit, but yeah, if they can start getting their elbows out again with each other, that could really do us a lot of favours late on in this Grand Prix there. The gap to Ricciardo is still coming down ever so slightly, but yeah, Porchera's really dropped back. Russell just trying to hang on to our coattails at the moment. I think we've just about got enough in the tank to try and hold him off at the moment, so we're just trying to keep it honest, get the laps out. I mean, yeah, just over 10 more to go here. We've just got to try and get the cars to the flag, I feel. 10 laps to go, and now the gap to Ricciardo under 3 seconds there. They are all nose to tail once again, but we've seen that before in this Grand Prix, and they've all kind of fanned back out again. It really does depend on whether Leclerc can try and get a big run on Perez, or whether they can go side by side for a lap or two, just to bring us a bit closer there. George Russell dropped out of DRS range. I think he made a bit of a mistake somewhere, because he dropped back about 3/10 in a couple of corners, but we've still just got to keep it clean and tidy there. It's little mistakes like that can really make a big difference come the checkered flag. We are not going to give up just yet, but this race is really going to try and fall to us. Well, the gap is still coming down lap after lap here. 7 more to go here from Austria, but at the moment we're kind of really actually just racing Sergio Perez, because of course Leclerc and Ricciardo aren't really doing anything to try and battle him, so we're kind of trying to match Perez's times and see if that'll bring us a bit closer to the other two. But yeah, we just need Leclerc to start battling. We just need 2 of those cars to start duking it out, and that'll help us and give us potential opportunities. 5 laps to go, gap now down to under 2 seconds, and you can see Leclerc is trying to pile on more and more pressure to Sergio Perez as they get to the top of the hill there. We are still closing in. Of course, Ricciardo and I have got fresher rubber than those 2 cars in front of us, but we just need Leclerc to go side by side with Perez. It'll only take him 1 lap going side by side through a couple of corners, and it'll bring myself and Ricciardo right into play. We can do this. I'm still believing late on in the day. Come on, there we go. New fastest lap of the day. 3 to go. The gap now 1.5 seconds. We know we have got pace in the car still. We are pushing like absolute crazy, and that gap is still coming down to Ricciardo just in front of us. As soon as we get in that DRS range, well, I mean, really, we need to be within the range next lap if we want any chance of doing anything here. It might just be that the Austrian Grand Prix is not quite long enough for us, but anything can still happen here. We just need Leclerc and Perez, I know I keep saying it, just a battle once, and that could bring us right into the picture. Come on, 2 laps to go. The gap to Ricciardo, you can see he gets so close to under 1 second, and then he's just got the DRS to carry him back up the hill towards Leclerc there. I think Leclerc has all but given up on trying to take P2 away from Sergio Perez, unless he's going for some last-ditch attempt here, but it's just not quite going to be enough for us. I think the tyres are starting just to fall away a little bit. We have pushed so hard throughout so much of this race, but yeah, I just think we haven't quite got enough. Out off the final corner though to start the last lap of the Austrian Grand Prix. All we can now hope for is that either those lap cars get in the way a little bit, I've just noticed those up the road, or Leclerc can just try and do something against Sergio Perez here. It's often that the AI really go for it on the final lap of a race, and you can just see there Perez having to position himself slightly defensively as we went up the hill, but yeah, maybe that Haas car up the road can try and do something just to help us, but perhaps I'm just clutching at straws at this point of the day. I think we have just absolutely taken everything out of these tyres, though. We have certainly pushed to the limit. I am sweating at the end of this race there, as I think, yeah, the Haas car moves out of the way of Sergio Perez. So he does trip over Charles Leclerc, though, and Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, even force a habit, just gets a little bit held up. But do we expect anything else from Felipe Drugovich? Do we really expect anything else from Felipe? That is some horrendous blue flag driving there. Max Verstappen, though, will take home the win of the Austrian Grand Prix there, and I think with that, we'll now be tied with Bottas at the top of the table, but we come home for P5.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home. A fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the Styrian Alps. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team. And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Today's performance means that Max Verstappen now owns top spot in the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
That's got to be the Flying Finn. Wait, how many Flying Fins have we had now? Anyway, I'm talking about Bottas this time. Just great raw speed, and a good job in traffic as well.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Austrian Grand Prix, and it is Max Verstappen who takes the full 33 points away from this weekend there. Sergio Perez P2 ahead of Charles Leclerc there come the checkered flag. Ricciardo 4th there, very good recovery by him. And yeah, 5th to 5th on paper, doesn't look like the best race in the world, but we absolutely pushed to the limit. Felt a bit unlucky that we could only walk away there with those 10 points. George Russell 6th ahead of Pourchaire. Zhou Guanyu, Latifi actually he triples his points tally. Latifi back inside the top 10 there ahead of Esteban Ocon. And yeah, Mick Schumacher just misses out in his Haas card. That does mean, though, like we said, championship-wise, Max Verstappen now on top of the table on countback. 184 points there apiece between him and Valtteri Bottas as we head towards La Castellet. We're still P3, but dropping back slightly, falling into the clutches of Perez and Leclerc after another strong weekend from the pair of them. But yeah, really is spicing up this table at the moment. There no other movers further down the rostrum. Like we said, Latifi moves himself slightly closer to Mick Schumacher in the Drivers' Championship. Constructors-wise, the Red Bull now are just streaking away at the top of the table. They're 71 clear of McLaren at the moment. We're still P3, but Ferrari, yeah, like I said, are applying the pressure at the moment. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will return very soon with more F1 22 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.